Welcome back to Conversation Piece. Thank you so much for joining part 3. It's about boundaries, and if it makes you uncomfortable, perfect, awesome, yay, I'm so happy. I hope it makes you uncomfortable, and I hope it stirs up change, that you watching this would be like, oh, you know what, actually I do want to do this. I do want to change, because you can and you should, because the best version of you is right in front of you. So why not live into it? What have you got to lose? If you haven't already, subscribe to my channel, like the video, share the thing, or hit the notification bell. It's not just like a gimmick. It's your way of being like, no, dude, I love this. I'm supporting it, and I want to create change. So it means the world for me and my family. If you want to do that, thank you so much for even watching the videos. Don't worry, there's a ton more content coming. I'm just going to keep being more honest and more real. So thank you for watching. Let's get into it. Okay, well, the last question I had was, I wanted to talk about boundaries because I know that's a huge one. And these are all stuff that we've attempted to talk about in some of the previous videos, but I would just love to just say, here it is.
Boundaries. Boundaries in relationships. We learn from, the first 5 to 7 years of our life is where we learn how to give and receive love, if you will. Mm-hmm. Some of it is just our innate personalities, but the other part of it is things we learn, okay? And we learn how to please people, perhaps. We learn how to fight for what we need. We learn how to go without our needs met. Variety of ways. And it's not because every parent is bad, but we all, like for me, I learned codependent, which is I know more about what everybody else thinks and feels than I know about what I feel. So codependency is a type of boundary issue where we don't have boundaries, really. We're chameleons. And we know how to be whatever that person needs us, and this person needs us, gets to see this side of us. This person sees this side.
Wow.
So, and we don't necessarily stop people from hurting us. So in relationships, to me, the goal of learning how to set boundaries, and what does that word even mean, is when we assume we're responsible for ourselves and the other person in the relationship is responsible for themselves, and the goal is a give and take relationship. Right. It's about being assertive. I'm going to take care of me, you're going to take care of you, but we're going to work together to try to also take care of each other.
Wow.
Versus a person who's in a passive role, and aggressive doesn't mean I want to punch you in the head. It can be that person tends to get their way more often than not.
Got it.
Partly because the passive person allows it. So if I say, where do you want to go eat lunch? And you say, doesn't really matter, but you say that on a regular basis and I keep picking, I'm going to be the one. We all know then where I want to eat, what kind of food I like. We know nothing about the passive.
Wow.
And therefore, the passive person's boundaries that don't exist because they don't, they're going to get walked on. Partly because they lay down on the floor and let people walk on them. But the other part is because even if you're assertive and you're saying, I want a win-win, unless that person comes up to pick what's important to them and to say, hey, don't do this to me, it doesn't feel good. If they don't set those parameters, then even a person who's genuinely trying to be assertive will ultimately, if the passive person comes under them, they will look aggressive.
Wow.
So with boundaries, you have boundary issues when you know more about what everybody else wants, when you have a difficult time protecting yourself from unwanted hurts, or you, quote, let them roll off your back when somebody's a jerk to you on a regular basis, when you're kind of walking on eggshells, but yet you're staying in that relationship, those are signs of a boundary issue. When you're a classic martyr, passive-aggressive person. Those are people with boundary issues. People who are narcissistic have boundary issues because they're going to walk on everybody.
Like overstep them.
They're going to get their way. They're going to manipulate the situation to sort of get what they want. If you're feeling guilty a lot in a relationship, you probably have some boundary issues in those relationships. And
Why is that? If you're feeling guilty.
typically, you're in a relationship with a passive-aggressive person at that point,
Okay.
which is somebody like, let's say you and I are heading to lunch, and Haley comes in here, and we say, we're heading to lunch, and she's like, oh, okay. Do you want to go with us? No, it's fine. I'll just stay home. Pretty good indicator that she's probably not fine, but she's
Right.
passive in what
Right.
she's saying, but she really isn't being assertive. She's being it's more passive aggressive. It makes us feel bad,
Right.
but because we're her tone and
Right.
whatnot. But so again, the boundary is she's not taking care of herself.
Wow.
She's throwing herself under the bus, but making sure that we know it. So boundaries are about, do we have a bubble around us that's healthy? And so I often talk about a mask versus a shield. A mask is where we hide our real feelings, our needs, our wants,
Wow.
because we're worried someone's going to reject us or hurt us with it, versus a shield that says, I'm not going to share certain things with somebody because it's not that I'm embarrassed, I don't trust that person. I had no boundary issues for the first part of my life, so good people didn't hurt me, bad people did. I didn't protect myself. I learned how to be an overgiver and manage my walls by trying to keep everybody's. It's really manipulative, but I didn't see it as that, of telling you what you want to hear. And if you said something that hurt me, I would never have told you.
You'd just be really hurt.
I'd just be really hurt.
How did you get out of that?
I didn't. How did I get out of the codependent thing?
Eventually.
Well, eventually I became a therapist and told you that your feelings matter, which then it's like, wait a minute, how can your feelings matter but not my feelings? Or, hey, that person said that to you, that's really rude. Well, I might have been treated exactly the same way. Maybe, but it takes courage to set boundaries. It's scarier than crap.
It sucks.
Yeah. But the more you realize, hey, I have a right to my feelings, doesn't make my feelings, there's not a right or a wrong. I have my feelings. They might not be based on fact, but I still have them. And you have your feelings, and somewhere in here might be a truth. Like I can sit on your couch and think it feels really comfortable to me. It feels uncomfortable to you, but what's the fact?
It's a couch?
It's a couch. So feelings aren't always based on, what's the fact. So, but if I don't protect myself and come up, I might be influenced by you constantly telling me what I'm supposed to feel.
Wow.
How I'm supposed to act, what I'm supposed to think. That pushes on our boundaries of what we're supposed to be taking care of. Pretty soon I look more like whomever I'm with.
Wow. So what would you say then to someone who's attempting to, or at least recognizes, okay, yeah, this is happening in my life? I'll speak for myself. I'm thinking about me. Setting a boundary, even in the smallest way, it feels like, okay, I'm going to do this. I may come across as a jerk, and I don't know what this person's response is going to be, because even let's say with Haley, I'm just going to stand up for me, but I don't want her to feel alone, but I can't. What do you do with
What's
that?
your number one priority? And what's your number one responsibility?
My responsibility? Oh, gosh. Is to take care of me.
What's Haley's responsibility?
Do the same.
And then we have a marriage, so we both are responsible to the marriage, right?
Right.
So if you assume that, your feelings don't make you be a jerk, that you have a right to your feelings, it's when you point to her and say, you make me feel like I'm insignificant versus I'm feeling insignificant.
Wow.
Or I'm feeling uncared for. It doesn't, it's when we do this whole you make it, you did this to me, instead of saying, here, let me validate what I'm experiencing, what my feeling is, regardless if you meant to or not, is really irrelevant. I'm still feeling it. Yeah. Whether you meant to hurt my feelings or not, my feelings are still hurt.
Oh boy.
Right? And so when we own then we can begin to say, hey, and it doesn't feel good, and I'm not gonna, so a healthy boundary, like with my family, especially my mom, would tell me, I was very codependent with her, wanting to please her is what that means. I was trying to earn her love and respect and approval. And so if she was disappointed, it was like painful. So a boundary would be like when she would tell me, I wouldn't let's just use the example of buying my daughter a dog when she was in high school. That's not what I would do. My old self would have been like, okay, well, I'm not going to do it then.
Wow.
My practicing, what I'm preaching, the therapy side would say, I accept that that's not what you would do.
Wow.
Now that's scary right there.
Yes.
And then for her to then say, well, don't come crying to me if it doesn't work out and you end up with this dog. Okay, I won't. And then I'd keep that boundary going because she's still attacking it, because unhealthy relationships will not, when you're learning to set boundaries with somebody, healthy people, they may be a little uncomfortable, but they will always respect it at the end. Unhealthy people will resent your new boundaries. They will resent that they can't manipulate you anymore. So, as was the case with my mom, she would bring up that dog over and over as a way of reminding me that I had not, I disappointed her. And it's because she couldn't respect that I was going to take responsibility for my life.
Wow.
And so unhealthy people, if they don't change with us, we move away from them slowly, and we start distancing. We start giving them less information to sort of come at us with. But healthy people will honor that and say, "Hey, great," or stop giving this unwanted opinion. But when we give ourselves permission to reject someone's input, because we're taking care of ourselves, it's okay. We don't have to be jerks about it. We can just say, I understand that's what you would do. I'm going to still choose to do this. Even if I make a mistake, it's okay. That's how we learn.
Which is super scary, at least from my life, is like, I'm rejecting someone's opinion. And then, 2, I might screw up. Now what, You
might. What happens? Let's just go there. What happens if you screw up? We'll do a mini therapy session. What happens if you screw up?
Then I'm just faced with whatever I screwed up with, depending on what it is.
Yeah. It's okay. Yeah. Then what happens?
Then I move up. I get up and learn.
Well, you don't believe that because you wouldn't be fearing that. That's not what your thought does.
Right.
What's it feel like when you screw up?
I'm a giant failure, and this person was right. I shouldn't have done this, or whatever the thing was.
I'm a giant failure. This person's right. I should have listened to them tell me how I should run my life because they're really responsible. I'm not capable. Right? So if I make this mistake, I'm a failure, right?
Right.
But are you going to tell me I'm a failure when I make a mistake?
Never.
Why?
Because I don't believe that.
You just believe it for yourself.
Right.
How did you change that thinking?
Oh, your questions. I changed it by a lot of learning and understanding that that's not how I want to treat myself.
Oh, there we go. So what would you say to yourself that would be a better and believable thought to change that? If I'm going to take this on, I might make a mistake. What would be a better but believable? Not here believable, here believable.
That even if I make a mistake, it's okay.
Because?
Because I love myself.
And what do we do with mistakes usually?
Use them as like learning points.
Bingo. So that's a cognitive distortion. I'm a failure. We changed it to, hey, it's an opportunity for me to learn. And that is something you've come to believe. By challenging it, baby steps to bigger steps, to sitting here right now in front of this camera, believing here that, hey, regardless of what happens, I'm going to be okay. I'm not going to die, and I'm going to be loved, and I'm going to learn from whatever didn't work well. I get to learn from those mistakes. Mistakes are necessary. The most successful people in the world accept mistakes are necessary because it says we're willing to take a risk. We can't grow if we don't take a risk and take a chance, because otherwise we stay in our little box, right?
Yeah.
So, but you can't take a risk, a real risk, because you don't know the outcome.
Wow.
But you have to accept that the outcome is going to be a learning opportunity regardless of what happens. And I'm going to survive. I'm not going to die. Even if my mom's disappointed, I'm not going to die. As a kid, we feel like we're going to die, but as an adult, we can think through that differently.
Wow.
So that would be a good example of a boundary issue of My boundary is that I'm going to take care of me, even in the face of being your disappointment. You may be disappointed in me. I'm going to set the boundary of between us of I'll take care of me. You've given it maybe an unwanted opinion, which is always criticism, right?
Right.
Can be perceived as criticism. So,
yes.
That's where we learn something different.
Wow.
Did that help with boundaries?
Yeah, it's amazing. And now I'm just thinking, is there anything else I want to ask? Okay, well then, I guess my last question, I'm just trying to put myself in my shoes before I was ever here.
Mm-hmm.
This is all well and good and life-changing. Seems like most people don't ever get to the point of wanting to choose this. Let's just say someone's watching this video and they go, oh, something you said resonates with me. How in the world, because I've had conversations with friends where they feel like there is no way, that I'm never going to be able to even have that, whether it's diet or the way you think about something, or like that sounds great, but I've tried. Mm-hmm. How do you get past that?
Those particular people, so a lot of people come to therapy, even if they choose to go to therapy, but they don't do therapy. So therapists, often we get a bad name because somebody will go, wow, that person's been in therapy for 8 months. Well, that doesn't mean they did the therapy. They might have come to therapy. Those are the people that pay my car off.
Right.
They pay my Tesla, if I say.
Right.
The other people that do therapy, like yourself, feed my soul. Because I get to watch you take stuff off information, but you do that in every part of your life. So people that come to therapy are often hurting. It hurts bad enough for them to finally reach out and get some help. But it's really, or like if they're going through a divorce, they do the checkbox thing.
Right.
Or, but they don't know how bad they're hurting because it's sort of like they've lived with this thinking. So it's really helping to educate that, hey, like yourself, you didn't even know you were spinning all the time. You didn't know that this anxiety thinking was going on. You just thought it was what you do.
Right.
So it's, I would say when you step back and take an outside look at your life if you can and say, is my life going the way I want it to go? Am I able to do and be successful in the areas that I want to be successful?
Wow.
And if not, that would be a good time to just go get an opinion of, is there something I'm missing? Because truthfully, it's your blind spots usually. It's things, I didn't know I was codependent.
Wow.
I didn't know what that word meant. I'm the most independent person I know. But I'm dependent on people's approval at the time. Like I always say I had a big crown, but I have a little tiara left. But I didn't know that term. And I didn't, so it's really about get on, take some personality tests.
Yeah.
But it's really stepping back and saying, wherever I might be stuck, I might be not making the kind of money I want to make. I'm doing a job that I hate, but because my dad said I should be an engineer, I'm an engineer instead of a graphic designer. Or,
Right.
where you might feel unhappy, step back and ask that question, why? And like I say, it helps sometimes to take some personality tests. It helps to, if you're worried a lot, and again, people don't like that word, so they won't use it. Worry. I'm nervous, or I'm irritable. I'm in my head a lot. I think a lot. Those are signs of anxiety. If you're lacking joy, you don't have any gumption, you come home, you're doing the same thing, or if you're a super routine person and you can't go outside your routine, you're probably dealing more with anxiety. And I say to those people who don't think they need it, you just got to take a look at your life from a little bit of a distance and ask yourself, am I doing what I want to do? Am I happy with the way my life is going? And if not, then you might start asking some of the questions we've talked about today.
Wow. That's so good. I don't know how I get to be in these situations, but I get the best out of the deal, I'll be honest. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I really want to work on making her more accessible if that's something she's open to. Maybe her being on this channel more often, just answering questions. So put your questions down below, stuff you want to know about. Seriously, let me know and I'll talk with her, and I'm sure she'd love to address more stuff. Thank you for watching. Have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you in the next one.